Welcome, Drink with James, episode 78. We got Wendy from Wendy's Lookbook here. We have just gone through 40 minutes of life-changing, amazing advice. We go down 20 minutes of just talking about humanity, which I love. But if you guys don't know Wendy, Wendy is one of the best YouTubers on God's green earth.
Oh my gosh.
She is one of the most requested and best reviewed influencers we've ever worked with, and she is going to give some of her advice on how she works with brands, how she thinks about this whole space, and just how you think you should live your life. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
I am excited for everyone to see this.
Oh, thank you.
And so we're going to just roll into it. Give me a quick story how you got into this.
Yes. What happened? I started about 8 years ago, and at the time I was working at Wells Fargo, and I was a business banker. Loved my clients, didn't really like my job too much, and got up and quit, It's a funny story, I'll tell you. I was walking to work, and I saw this finch on the ground. Did I tell you this already, James?
No.
Okay, I saw this finch on the ground, and I picked it up, and I thought I needed help.
Yeah.
Okay, I picked it up, I brought it to the office, and I was
You're
going to call...
You're an animal lover.
Yes. And I was going to call animal control to pick up this bird that needed help. Anyway, so I was about to call them, and at 8 o'clock, the whole office is basically on their phones, calling clients. The finch took a nap on the street, woke up, and flew all over the office. And so it flew, it was really sad. It hit itself and all the other stuff. And there's me, I'm just running at it and trying to grab this thing. Then I got reprimanded for it, obviously. And then I thought to myself,
don't bring a finch into the bank.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not a crazy request.
No, I understand. But I thought, you know what, hey, if they are not for animal, safety and all this stuff, I don't belong here. So then I quit. I was like, oh, but anyways, it probably, the whole moment added up to that.
Wells Fargo had an incredible talent inside their organization. They lost it over a finch.
I know. But it's the best decision of my life, though, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
So you quit, which is scary, and is certainly something that a lot of our influencers want to do. They want to quit, but you didn't quit saying, I'm going to be an influencer.
No, I quit with no backup plan whatsoever. But I wanted to do something creative. That's really what I wanted to do.
And did you feel like that was lacking in your life at Wells Fargo?
Yeah.
Did you feel like growing up, did you always feel like a creative person?
I always wanted to express myself. I just didn't figure out the medium to do so until much later in life, and at Wells Fargo it didn't really help that much either. But at work, I would be very focused at work, and then I would go home and I would just read fashion forums. Back before blogs, there were fashion forums, right? And I would just have just hours and hours, and I think I really got my education on the forums, just women sharing and women actually giving good advice and everything. And I wanted to be a part of it somehow. Yeah, but after I quit, I took a whole bunch of creative classes. I took a metal making class, I took a singing class, terrible. I can't, to this day, sing, and I won't even sing in the shower.
Really? I feel like that's something you would know without taking a singing class.
No, but I
I feel like with a little help, I could get there.
No, but I think I wanted to really overcome this fear of whatever it was. And for the first 2 lessons, I sat there just still. And she was like, you can open your mouth anytime now.
Right.
And I said, no go. Yeah, that was it.
It's your money. Spend how you like. I'm interested in this because it's like last week or 2 weeks ago we had Jamie Beck, right? And Jamie is an artist. And she has an artist's mind, and she's wanted to create art since she was a kid. And she was telling the story about in high school as she taught herself how to shoot and how to develop photos and all that. But that's not most people's experience, I think, right? I think most people have an experience more like you have a more traditional upbringing, and you think, I'm interested in expressing myself, and then you're 22 or 25 or 30 or 40 or whatever age, and you're like, I weirdly feel dissatisfied. So I'm interested just from a kind of philosophical life situation when you were at Wells Fargo. Were you just coming home being like, this isn't the job for me at all? I know because you're doing business banking for 5 years, right? That's not like I did it for 6 months and this wasn't for me. I worked on Wall Street for 6 months, and I was like, I need to get out of this. This is not for me. 5 years is a long time, and you would have progressed along. I'm sure you're doing pretty. I mean, you're you, so I'm sure you're doing really well. But yeah, like I'm interested more in that decision. Was it hard for you, or you just kind of wake up and say, I'm done?
You know, I mean, I remember at Wells, I was the girl who wore kind of funky things. You know, we weren't client facing, so we actually didn't have to work at a branch or anything. It was more corporate. And so I can go to work wearing like purple pumps, and that'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Okay for me, but not okay for kind of office culture, right? So I remember I was always kind of a little odd in that sense, but I loved it. I loved kind of expressing myself through like the little details. But you know, when it comes to fashion, you know, I grew up. I remember when I was like, so I came to America when I was 8, and I learned a lot of my English through reading magazines. Okay. Yeah, and just, you know, pictures and everything else to understand the culture and really getting into it. But I remember very clearly I was 8 and I was looking at a magazine, and at that time I was talking to my biological mother, and I told her, I said, you know, hey Mom, like one day I want to be in a magazine. And I didn't realize what I was saying. I think I just wanted to be in fashion, you know. Right. And she told me, she said, she said, Wendy, only pretty people get to be in magazines. And from that point on, I just thought to myself, okay, honestly, the most I can do or the best I can be was to be an intern of someone in the fashion industry, or to kind of do that, you know, but that was it. So my dream kind of got capped at that point. So I went in and, you know, and I did, you know, kind of the more stable job working at a bank and all this other stuff. But there's always that thing in me that kept on reminding me that maybe one day I'll be a part of it. Right. And that's why I'm so grateful for this platform. Yeah. It gave really an outlet for anyone to have a voice and to have a brand, or to have like, you know, a point of view. And honestly, given me, I'm short, I'm petite, I'm Asian, I'm a woman, and all those are not the most favorable components when it comes to actually being a part of this community. Right. But now it is. You know, you have forums, you have blogs, you have, you know, Instagram brands and everything. It's really creating a much more inclusive culture, which I got lucky to be a part of it, you know, with the time. Yeah. It's
interesting, and we'll get back on track with actual social, but I'm just interested in this. In, you know, so you see the magazine track, I want to be a part of it. I don't really know what this is, but I'm going to be part of it, I'm going to be in it, right? Your mom's like, no, you're not. You're like, okay, well, maybe I won't be. But then, you know, as you went through your quarter life existential crisis, and you tried metalworking and singing and acting classes, a lot of that stuff is very public. It's very public facing. It's very like, you know, it's not like you were like, oh, I'm going to go intern for a stylist.
Oh, got
it.
You
know? So was there a decision there to be like, actually no, like I do, you know, there's being a creative and being a creative who like wants to, I don't really know how to say
no,
it.
I actually understand what you're saying. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You didn't go and work for a photographer or a stylist. You said, I'm going to put myself out there in this way that is scary and makes me feel a little uncomfortable maybe.
You know, it's so funny because I at the time, I never thought about like, oh, doing this meant that I was putting myself out there. I just thought, you know, I wanted to own something, you know, and I wanted to have that piece of information that I can share to the world. And at the time, I think that was kind of the medium where I was like, okay, well, if I did a little bit of acting, it wasn't really acting. It was like going to class and doing scene studies, you know? It wasn't really, you know. Or, you know, metal making, because I think I always wanted to create something. I wanted to make something. I wanted to create something, whether that was in a form of a moving picture, which is a film, or a still, or whatever object. I wanted to kind of own it in that sense, you know. So maybe that's why I didn't pursue the intern route, which, you know, honestly, I didn't really think of it until you said that. It just never crossed my mind to do that. Right. Maybe because I thought I wasn't good enough to be an intern even. I don't know, right? So if I was in this culture where I had a boss and a manager and everything, I think breaking out of it, I just wanted to do something on my own. Right. And that came with the risk of, you know, having, you know, doing that. But never even thought about interning, to be honest with you.
You know, it's interesting. I mean, I wonder if there was a part, like, do you feel like there's a part of you that like wanted to be known, and that like, because there is, you know, there's a certain look. I mean, success in some ways, like you get in a magazine. Sure. Successful people are in magazines, right? People know them, like people they're kind of famous in some way. Yeah. And now you do this thing where you have a huge following.
Yeah.
You're known around the world, you know,
Thank you.
and you're working with incredible brands, and you're doing, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, you and your contemporaries and the people on YouTube are replacing magazines.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't believe that magazines are going to have much of a place in this world for much longer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that this thing that you wanted to be a part of, you're kind of killing it. But like, but you didn't. Did you feel like I want to be known? Because singing, acting, getting yourself on YouTube, being in magazines are all that. Metallurgy is not.
Yeah. You know, so being known, that's a really interesting concept, because back then, 8 years ago, there's no such thing as a blog. There's no such thing as Instagram, right? I mean, YouTube was born just a few years before that, but like that concept was so new that I think the fame part is much more recent, you know, but back then it was like, no, you didn't make money. No. You spend all this time doing this video and you hope someone's watching it, not because you want to be famous, but I think because you really genuinely wanted to share. Like, whatever I'm sharing, I hope that helped your day, whatever that meant for you, you know? And ever since I started, and this is what I learned from Wells Fargo, which I'm very, very grateful for. I've actually learned a lot from them, managing a small business portfolio and learning how to be a small business now on my own.
But one bigger than a small business.
But one thing I remember at Wells Fargo is they kept on telling us, what is your added value? What is the added value? So from what I learned from Wells, I applied that to everything I did. What was the added value? You know, so I'm not doing a video to necessarily sit there and just, you know, I'm not saying nothing, but not saying anything either. You know, I wanted to have an added value. Right. Am I sharing a styling tip? Am I sharing a deal or whatever? But there always has to be an added value. So in that sense, it wasn't really necessarily like the front-facing part that attracted me to the field. It was more, I want to share, and I wanted to have this added value to this person's day, whatever it meant. And we just kept on doing that, and to the point where we ran out of money. And yeah, right. And that was it.
I think that's a great point. We've mentioned on the show before, like, I think a lot of influencers lose sight of the fact that when people follow you, they follow you because, in some ways, you've made a promise to them to provide value to them.
Yeah.
You're gonna add to my life in some way. Either you're gonna inspire me, you're going to empower me,
right.
You're gonna educate me,
make me laugh.
You're gonna make me laugh. You're gonna
exactly.
entertain me.
Yep.
Like, whatever that is,
yep.
They signed up for that. They didn't
yep.
sign up to help make you money.
Right.
On
Absolutely.
posts.
Absolutely.
You know, that's
absolutely.
not what their job is.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know, and I think so many people lose sight of that. And it's interesting. I think, you know, you are incredibly successful, and you're one of the leaders of this entire industry, I feel like, and certainly our clients, you know, everyone we know that works with you is like just blown away, and we're going to talk a bit about how that works structurally in a moment. But I'm feeling, you know, a little a tad bit philosophical here, and thinking like, I wonder if that like little bit of underlying bit of like insecurity or feeling like you said earlier, like I didn't know if I was good enough to be an intern, is driving you to be like, this is what's expected of me. I'm gonna like give this on everything that I do.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that? Do you feel like this need to, because you make stuff that is so good, it's like, why is that so good? That doesn't even have to be that good. Oh, and you just like go that whole other mile. Yeah. Do you ever say like, okay, maybe I'm spending too much time on this?
No, you know, I honestly wake up every day thinking, oh my gosh, this is my last day that I can do this. And it's not the fear that drives me. I think it's the feeling of, what can I do better tomorrow? What does that mean, you know? And it constantly, especially when it comes January, I get this feeling every year. So, oh my gosh, I hope this year I can still do what I do. Mm-hmm. And that is not, it doesn't help me rest, but it doesn't give me anxiety that is to the point where I can't. It's very positive in that sense. It's positive anxiety, I guess, you know.
Is it exhausting? Is that exhausting?
You know, a little bit. Okay, so for me, I've been in a place where I've literally had nothing. So to have something, it's not exhausting at all. And to always think about doing this, and to always think about improving, to always thinking about like, how can I grow and keep on learning and giving back, whatever it is. to my viewers and I've never used the word followers. I think that's really kind of, I don't like to be a follower. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't call myself an influencer, never, because I don't think that's just not something that it's really weird for me to say. And I never ever call the people who watch, the people who read followers. I call them viewers and I call them readers. And then I call them peers, or friends or whatever it is. But it's just, I don't feel like that's a connection I have when I call that this community that we have that, So in that sense, I want to be able to be part of the community. That's really it. And if that means I have to work harder or keep on pushing, then I'm more than happy to. I have the best job in the world.
Right.
So I don't want to lose it in that sense,
I love your sense of gratitude. And I wonder how, how much you think that gratitude for the life that you have now, and the, and just being able to be thankful for that has propelled your career, because I think some of the things that people don't like about influencers are that they are entitled. They feel like everything is owed to them. They maybe don't understand the value of hard work. And I'm speaking I don't believe these things, but this is what we hear from clients. This is the frustrations we hear from people, and certainly from consumers, right? Like, I saw an influencer today post a photo of 2 fucking luggage racks of boxes that they had gotten in their lobby, like a Bellman's luggage rack filled to the brim with boxes, and they were like, "Oh, I was out of town for 3 days. This is what I got." And it's just like, that feels gross. That doesn't feel like you're grateful for this stuff. It feels like you're like, "Oh, look at me." I don't know. It feels like whatever the 3 luggage thing is, that's just not my life. I don't know. I have 3 cats now, right? So that's all I have is just a lot of litter and everything else. No, it's funny. I've been blogging for almost 8 years now, and I blog 3 times a week. Never, always 3 times a week. To me, blogging is my 9 to 5. If I don't show up to work, I get reprimanded for it. So it's always blogging. Yeah. And after every blog for the last 3 years, I've always said thank you so much for reading, and as always, thank you so much for reading. And then, it's not automatic. It's more like, I really am thankful that you're reading. I really am, because without you, I don't have this platform to share. Yeah. So that sense, and I also think that whatever you call it, gratitude or whatever it is just stems from the fact that I think it just goes back to my roots. I didn't really have anything, so now having something is something that I'm very, 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 very grateful for. Yeah. And not having, when I quit Wells Fargo and not having a backup plan, to me it wasn't scary, because I've been in that place before, not having a backup plan, not knowing what's tomorrow is going to be like. So in that sense, to me it was like, this should be normal. It was really normal to me. There's anxiety, but not like that fear of I can't do it. But it's more like, okay, well, let's figure it out and then go on. And then now it's kind of the same thing. We just figure out. But that's not normal. That's not normal human behavior. I think that I think a lot of influencers talk about, they quit their job, they did this, they did that. But a lot of people, myself included, I knew I always had that support system, and I think that, it's interesting, and I love your story, and we were at that event with Burberry that you did with your foundation, and it was really inspiring, because I think not enough influencers, use their following or readers, or whatever they built up for good, and they don't step back and say, this is amazing. I can't, what a crazy life. I remember when and I'm rambling a bit, but I want to get to a point. When I was shooting and I was on Tumblr and I had a little modicum of what a normal influencer has now, and I remember my mom being like, enjoy it, because it won't last. Oh, yes. This is not gonna last, and you should do as much as you can now, because this won't be your life forever. You won't be flying to Dubai and Norway and all these things to do this. So you should really enjoy it. You should step back and be like, holy shit, this is fucking crazy that this is my life. And what I love about you is a lot of things, but one of them is that you do look back at your readers and your viewers, and you are thank you, and you are thinking about, how can I make your life better today? How can I create non-sponsored content that is actually going to help you, right? And I think it's pretty rare, and it's what like old folks like us, who've been around the block for a while.
Yeah.
That's what it was in the beginning, because there was no money.
No.
That's the thing. So the motivations were totally sincere, because nobody made money.
Yeah.
So
no one knew who you were. No one made money. Like, it was just you. Yeah.
Putting shit in the world. Putting cool shit into the world that you think people might want to see.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you still feel like you have that? Do you still feel like you wake up and you're like, I just want to put cool things into the world?
Every day. Every day. I mean, I think, no, every day. And I'm always, because of what you just said and not having that support system, and growing up in foster care, like, I knew that if I don't make it, no one else is gonna be there for me, and in that sense, I feel like I just have to try, hard. I mean, I just have to try hard, just do what I do in the best way I can, and that's the world I know, and you were just talking about normacy, as in like quitting and not worrying or whatever it is, and for me, back then, after I emancipated, I got into Berkeley, and there was a summer where I had like no money, and during summer, if you don't take summer classes, financial aid doesn't like support you during the summertime. And at the time, I was working at a museum. I was a front desk clerk, and my budget was $1.50 a day for lunch. And I know I'm dating myself now. I'm like super old. No, it was true. And some days I wouldn't have $1.50 to eat. Yeah. And I remember there was this school group that came through, and I don't know if I'm describing this right, but the Welch's like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches without the crust. It comes in like a little plastic bag, whatever. Right. So, anyways, the school kids had all that, and they had the extra Welch's stuff, and they threw it in the trash. And I sat there and I literally watched them leave, and I said, that's about 2:30. I said, you know what, I'm really hungry. I think I can just do that. And I literally went to the trash, picked it out, and ate that sandwich. And I sat there and I told myself, Wendy, I never want to be in this position again. So what can I do to work my ass off to not be in this position anymore? And it's not, it's just that. I think that whatever that is inside of me just keeps on. It helped me to this day. To the day when I quit Wells, it's the same thing. It was like, well, I'll figure it out. I have my gut to help me, to guide me, and I'll be okay,
I literally have goosebumps from that.
So I think because of that, like, I'm not afraid in that sense. Like, if tomorrow, I'm afraid in a sense where I want to be able to do this, but if I don't get the chance to, I'll figure it out. And I don't know exactly what that means, but,
I think that's why failure is so important. Being in a place of failure or desperation or at some sort of bottom is so important to experience it, because once you're there and you leave it,
there's no, you cannot, it's always up. You can't go down any further than that.
You can look around and be like, it's nice to have these beautiful things and this comfortable life, but I've literally eaten out of the fucking trash can, and I don't want to do that. But there's almost nothing that can happen that will stop me from continuing to live.
Absolutely.
And achieve. And I got out of this situation once.
Yeah, exactly. And I can get out again. And I just have to, and I think the guiding light was just this yearning to always improve and just to be better, whatever that meant, taking a better picture tomorrow, or creating a story tomorrow, or whatever it is. But it's just, how do I just better myself and just to improve constantly, and that's been helping.
And to pivot this into, out of like inside the actor's studio, I think I got the lights, and I'm starting to feel like this we got some lights, and I feel like, I need this to feel quite elevated. You talk about always striving to be better, and I obviously I've followed you and I've known about you for years, and we've worked with you a bunch. And when we were putting together in our first conference, I asked one of our salespeople, Grace, and I was like, what influencers are really good? Like, she was just like, Wendy's Lookbook, like just Wendy. Like,
thank you.
Every client we work with, she's amazing. Like, you have to have her. And I'd never, I'd watched your videos and stuff, but I'd never heard you speak. I didn't really. I was just like, Tim and I were so busy. I was just like, cool, whatever.
Hi, Tim.
And you kind of talked about your process, which I wanted to dive into I think I wanted to not dive into, but understand the motivations for why you do the things you do, to then talk about what those things are. And you work with brands in an interesting way.
Yeah.
And so I'd like for you to explain it, because I think we were talking a little bit before we started filming about how I'm frustrated that influencers aren't doing enough. You know, they get a brief from a brand. Brand says, I want you to talk about our new lipstick and, you know, shoot it this way, that way, whatever. And they do that, and they send it to the brand, and they collect their check, and they walk away, which is the exact opposite of how you work. So I'd like to hear you talk a little through about your process and how you work with brands when jobs come in.
Sure. I think most of the time, I'm the one who's pitching to the brand. So I get a brief, I get a creative brief, we get the hero pieces, we understand kind of what the campaign's about. And my favorite part of my job is to get to pitch back. And this happens a lot with video, because videos, it's extremely difficult to revise or to edit a video, you know. So in that sense, what I do is that when it comes to a video campaign, they'll kind of give me the brief, and then I create a deck for them. And in the deck, we outline just line by line everything that happens in that video. We create visuals to pair with the video. Sometimes if music helps, I actually send a music clip too, to make sure that they kind of get the feel of it. And we put together a presentation, and we present to the brand. Most of the time, there is no feedback. They go ahead, do it. And then we go on, we do it, it's great. And yeah, and really I honestly haven't had a brand come back and be like, can you do this and this? It was more like, oh, good, and then that's it. Yeah. It's very fluid, and I think the main reason I do that is that I just don't want to reshoot, because it's expensive for everybody, you know? And so if I can present the idea in a clear conceptual way, visual way for the brand, it's the best win-win for all of us. Yeah. So it's a deck that we put together, we send it, and that's it. We go and we shoot it.
I want to say this is incredibly rare. We get this from almost nobody else. Yeah. And what is interesting is that sometimes, if I remember correctly, you create two decks or two concepts.
Yes.
The brand's concept.
Right.
And then what you want to do.
Right.
So they'll come and they'll say, hey, I want you to shoot. We're going to go through a video today, and we're going to actually have you watch and kind of talk through it a little bit.
Right.
But they'll say, I want this.
Right.
Simple idea.
Right.
And you'll be like, cool, this is how I'd shoot this, right?
Right.
But then
Yes. So for the video that we're going to see, the brand came, and I think they wanted to do more of a vlog style, which is like me sitting and then just like kind of talking about spring trends and spring footwear trends. And I thought, okay, I mean, I can do that too. What about this? So, you know, which is, what happens if I do this, like, you know, sliding kind of motion thing, and then, you know, the thing flips upside down, and then like all this stuff happens. And I was like, you know, this is what I really think would translate what you're saying in a more artistic way. And it's something that I enjoy doing very much so, you know. It's a non-talking piece. I really want the shoes to shine on its own. But creatively, it's just much more shareable, it's shorter, and it's just more beautiful. So we put the deck together for that. And I told my agent, I said, please, 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 just push this concept as much as you can. It's more expensive for us to do. It's more time consuming for us to shoot. But I think in the end, it's much more worth it for the brand and for my own creative kind of juices. Right. And then they said yes. And
explain that logistically a bit. So let's say, you know, for simple math's sake, because God knows these aren't the numbers, but we don't want to talk about the actual numbers. Let's say it's like, okay, I've got $5,000 for a video for you, right? And you say, okay, brand concept A is going to cost me $1,000 to shoot.
Sure.
So you make $4,000.
Sure.
Then you say my concept costs $3,000 to shoot.
Yep.
You keep two, or do you tell the brand it's going to be $2,000 more for my idea?
No, I absorb the cost.
Yeah.
So if it costs 3 apples to shoot that, you know, versus 1 apple to shoot, like, you know, a vlog, I benefit I keep the 2 apples at the end, and that's it, you know. But I don't charge the brand more for having a more creative concept or a higher produced concept. That's not. I feel like for me, when they're working with me, they expect an all-in package, right? So it doesn't matter what as long as it's a video, it doesn't matter what kind of video, that's what they're expecting. So And also, because of that too, I find that the brands are much more receptive to a higher concept video. They're not paying more, they get a beautiful video that they can, you know, repurpose on their own ways or whatever it is. So to me, it's just better for me, as in a creative way.
And guys, I'll say again, this is not normal. Okay, but it's how it should be. You know, it's. I think what's so amazing is that you're saying, hey, this is your idea. I have another idea.
Yeah.
I'm willing to essentially pay like some of the money I would have made.
Yeah.
Because I just want to see this in the world.
Yeah.
Because I believe in it, and I'm excited about this
Yeah.
idea, and the ideas you're excited about, that comes across, especially in video, right?
Oh, I think videos are extremely difficult to do when you're not in a good mood. The audience sees right through it. Unlike a photo, I can put my sunglasses and kind of smile a little bit and that'll be okay, you know? Move around a little bit. But video, you're sitting there and then that's why I loved acting too. It trained me for those moments where some days you're just not ready, in a sense where you're having a bad day or whatever it is, but you're still sitting and committing to your audience, you know? If you don't like the concept, it's gonna show, you know? So even now, I didn't finish filming it yet, but we actually had a case where we put the deck together, we gave it to the client, they said okay, it took us 5 days to film it, and during the filming process, we were doing really crazy things, and I thought, it looked safe in the deck, but when I'm looking at it visually, it looked a little bit more cutting edge in that sense. So I went back and I said, can you please show the client this? Because I don't think they know what they're looking at on the deck, you know? I had to do this like self-defense move. It was actually pretty intense. And so they looked at it and they're like, you know, that's not what we thought it would be. But I said, I can't make this move gentler. It has to be the way it is. So what we did was we totally scrapped the whole idea and actually reshot something else for them. Yeah, so that does happen sometimes. Yeah. But with the 5 days of shooting that, I'm still gonna produce it. It's a non-sponsored video now. It's something I love. So no matter what, if you're shooting something, you can always repurpose that to something that you actually really enjoy, you know? But yeah, anyway, so going back to what you're saying, sometimes the deck looks a little more gentler than the actual video. And if I sense that in any way, I go back right away and say, can you please look at just some behind the scene footage? If you're okay with that, we'll go. If you don't, then you gotta let me know that we reshoot it. And that's what happened.
And I think going back to our earlier conversation about your viewers or your readers, it's like, I do think so often people in the influencer space, they think about this stuff in a vacuum. It's me essentially versus the brand.
Oh,
and
wow.
I need to negotiate with the brand in a way where I get more money, you know? But what's left out completely is this post, is this partnership, is this piece of content I'm creating going to be useful to my audience? And what I love about the way you think about that, it's like sponsored content is a way to bring even more elevated, amazing stuff to your audience. You know, you can kind of take that brand's money and use it to create something that maybe you wouldn't have been able to create on your own.
Exactly.
You know?
Absolutely.
And that's like a really cool, special thing, because then it's like this audience who is the only reason you make any money. Gets something really great. You know, and the brand gets something really great. Everyone's happy. You at home, you got cats running all over you. You know, you're feeling good. But if it was just, again, if you were just thinking economics, you wouldn't do that. You would just make the easy thing. You would stand there. You'd be against the background. You'd have a ring light. You'd be like, "Look at this shoe. This is a great shoe. Everyone loves this shoe." But you didn't. You created this crazy ass video. We're gonna just watch it a little bit.
Sure.
And I'd love to hear a bit about how you made it, how you thought about it, how you got the brand to agree to all that stuff. And yeah, just talk us through it a bit, because it's beautiful and complex and amazing.
And it's amazing because I don't talk in it.
Right.
I can't stand hearing my own voice sometimes. Most of the time, actually.
So let's talk about that first. Like, no talking videos.
Oh, I love it.
But like kind of rare on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the sponsored stuff you do these great, you know, you always do this great text overlay, which is almost, it feels like a moving blog post.
Yeah,
you know?
you're right. Yeah.
So talk about is that something you've always done?
Yeah, you know, I've done so this type of
Those
like.
shots are insane.
You like it?
Oh my gosh, the flipping over shots.
It's actually my favorite transition. But I love like these transitions. So I think about this video and going, how can I make kind of interesting transitions that convey the point, but also share the added value. The added value is the styling, which is actually the text. That's really the added value when we're looking at this video. And we got the creative brief, which is 5 pairs of shoes for spring. And what we did is that we paired the 5 elements, the shoes, to 5 real elements you would find in New York City.
Right.
So running in tennis shoes in the subway, that sounds, that's normal. And then we wanted to kind of do something a little creative. We actually went to a hiring dog agency. The dog's actually very famous.
This is a famous dog.
It's a famous dog,
Okay.
but we wanted a really big dog to contrast like kind of the movement of that, and then that transitions to the very end scene, which is kind of a little date night scene, which is where you would wear the shoes to.
Right.
So every scene had a context to where you would really wear the shoes to, and I think that's kind of the overall added value is just the styling tips. But the way it was shot, we actually outlined each scene bit by bit for the brand.
Let's go back, Tim, to the subway one, because I remember you talking about this before, and that one was quite complex to shoot, right?
It was,
I just think,
yeah.
again, like, if people take anything from this video, I hope it's your passion and all that, but I also hope it's just like how I hope they understand how difficult this stuff is, right? So talk through this shot here coming down the subway stairs.
Well,
this one was tough, right?
Yes, it was tough because you're shooting from a really bright area, which is the front of the subway or the subway entrance, to something really dark. So we were really worried that the shoes would it won't show through. So lighting was actually an issue. Also, we shot that scene. We chose a subway station that wasn't too crowded. We scouted all of this way beforehand. It takes about 2 to 3 days of just pure scouting the area first.
So are you scouting that for the brand? Like, are you sending brand stills, or is it just for you?
Just for us,
Okay.
just for pre-production, for our side. Honestly, for me, I don't think the brand cares. Like, who cares if they spend 3 days, and it's not their
You're saying,
problem.
I'm giving you 5 New York City moments.
That's exactly it.
Right.
That's exactly. They don't care where you go, how you do it, or whatever it is. So we would actually go to the park and kind of observe to see what areas is the highest foot traffic compared to other areas. Then we would actually scout the whole area and that.
It's super annoying that people in New York, it's so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the last scene, this park, Washington Square Park, there's people everywhere and there's
how'd
no
you get
one
that?
here. We shot it at, like, I think 7:30.
Okay.
Yeah, so we knew when the kids would get out for school,
Right.
when people would go to work, and so we would try to get between the time where it would be the most quiet. The subway scene too, once the doors close, it was really hard for me to get out of the subway. Right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so it was the one take. So I was talking to our shooter and I said, this is it. Like, we just get it and then we get out. That was it, because I had to go back up and then go back down, and it was just way too much time in between.
Yeah.
So we rehearsed the scene, a few times, and he goes, okay, let's do it. We went in, did it, and thank goodness it worked out.
So the doors close.
And I would go to the next station. Right? So here I go, next station, and then I have to go all the way to and then I have to go back. I'm like, oh, that took like 20 minutes just to get back, and then we wouldn't have any more time to film. So I said, you got one shot. Yeah.
This is the shot.
Yeah, so we would do everything but that shot, because as you can see, there's like this column thing in the
Right.
subway that will clear the shot to the next shot. So we did everything till then, and then I go, okay, here we go, and then I go in, and then, but because of the the acting classes, because of doing YouTube for a while, I'm very aware of camera angles, and I know when our cinematographer, our filmmaker, when he's doing something, I know where he's pointing. So I'm the type of person who goes, I want to do this in 2 takes. That's really what the goal is. Vlog, anything, 2 takes maximum. So as the camera's pointing, I go, okay, I think you're coming here. So then so I have to hold, right? And then it goes down or whatever it is. But there's never a moment where I'm like, oh, like I'm going off, and then he misses a shot. That's his time, that's my time, that's everyone's time. So in that sense, with that scene, I go, I know you're panning this way. I have to turn to you right when I get to the door. I hope there's no one behind me wearing red shoes, or whatever, funky color shoes.
Yeah.
I can't control that, know. But as it's happening, we go, we do it, the door is shut, and that's it. That was one take.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
How much? So, your videos, the quality level of the shots, and conceptually, it's quite high. How much of that is just you, and how much is a collaboration with, like, people that you found, cinematographers, things like that?
Right. I think it's very much a synergy. It's very much of a collaboration. For me, like, I want to make sure that we bring everything to the table, meaning I have a small team, but my assistant photographer, Mina, and I, we would scout the location. All of the pre-production work we'll do in-house. And then once we meet with the filmmaker, the cinematographer, we'll lay out everything. Like, this is all the locations we're thinking about. What do you think? Is there a better way to do this? We're very flexible on set too. If there's a better location to do it, we'll do it, But most of the time, we want to make sure everything is just very, very carefully planned. You don't really have that much daylight shooting time either. So
especially in the winter.
Exactly. So we want to make sure everything is kind of planned to the minute, and then we go and execute. Yeah. It's fun though.
I it's a simple idea, the way you run your business, but it really, we're running 60 campaigns right now with thousands of influencers, and it is massively rare. The care that you put into it, pre-production, the professionalism when you're doing it, the reports and the follow-up after, giving bonus posts, giving the brand that added value, giving them more than they paid for, which, if you think about it, is why you like anything, right? Like, I was talking to someone today, and it was like, even in luxury item, right? Even if you buy a $5,000 bag, if that bag doesn't feel like $10,000, it's a waste of money. And if a brand pays you $500 or $5,000 and you don't provide $10,000 of value, what are you doing, right?
Right. And I think people, brands, viewers, readers, they feel the sense of emotion that you have when it comes to a product that you're advocating or a shoot that you're doing. So that sense of authenticity, I think it's not easy to fake. And I think everyone knows when you're very interested and when you love something, and doing the extra post means that you obviously love what you're promoting. That whatever you're sharing, it's truly what you think is worth sharing.
And speaking of authenticity, this is my last point for the evening. How do you, I've been interested in this idea recently, and I think Jamie and I talked about it a bit, of like people that talk at their audiences and people that have a conversation with their audience. And I think YouTube is so great because they usually can cultivate really a community, right? Like, the people who follow you probably feel connected to each other, right? How is that something you think about? Did that just kind of happen because of your personality and the person you are, or do you actively try and think, I'm having a conversation with these people?
A little bit of a blend of both. I was actually a psych major, and I love, just social psychology in general. And being me too, I was very much of an outcast when I was growing up. And to be a part of community really meant something to me, and that's why when I'm talking, I go we. I use we a lot. I don't use I, because it's me, but like it's really us. It's we. We're doing something. I can't wait to share something with you, not to show you something. I hope you, even in a blog post, I'll say something like, in video as well. Like, I hope you have a minute to stay with me. Like, it's really about like, I really understand you're busy. You're busy and you're doing all the things, and you're spending this 2, 5, 10 minutes with me. That's huge, and so I appreciate that. So I don't use it like, I'm going to use inclusive words. It's more like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one talks like that, but it's more like, I really want you to be here.
And you actually do believe that. You
exactly.
Are like, thank you.
Yes, exactly. And I want you to join me. And if it's not worth your time, it's on me. That's why you're not joining me, not because, whatever it is. So like, I want you to be here, and please, stay with me. So I'll say that on the blog post. I hope you stay with me, or us, we. And then at the end of each video, I say, see you soon on YouTube land. And because I grew up on TV land, right? So like, so I say, see you soon on YouTube land. And it's like me going, I hope to see you next week, and I hope to see you in the next video. And it's really this feeling of it's us, and it's we're together in that sense, and it's creating a community. Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot and
Sure.
and ask if you have any favorite stories from your community that
God,
people
yes, I
have
do.
told you.
Oh, yes, I do. This will stay with me for the rest of my life, and I can't wait to share this with you.
See?
Is that? Oh yeah. I don't. I'm like, okay. Like what? So we did this stop motion video that took us 6 months to do. First time doing stop motion. I know, it was really weird. First time doing stop motion, didn't realize how many clicks it took on the camera to do it, you know? But
was it Nightmare Before Christmas? I mean,
no. So it's so funny. It was literally kind of like a Rudolph story. We shot it in, I think, November. Wanted to release it in December for holidays. Didn't end up releasing until June because it took us 6 months to do. So in the video, there's like a Christmas tree, and you're like, what? Why is there a Christmas tree in June? Anyway, so we're doing this story, and it's really about, it's if you've seen the video, you'll see what I mean. It's Flatty, so it's a flat that wants to be a heel. And through her life, she is told that she's not good enough because she's a flat. So through this journey, she starts like pivoting and start walking on her heel and everything, and then she always falls because she's a flat. And then one day, you know, the human comes in and then wears her, and then all the heels accept her. Anyways, it's kind of a very simple story. So we released it. We had incredible feedback on it. And it was just, I know what it feels like to be flatty. And that's really what the story I wanted to share was like, it's okay if you're a flat. Be proud of your, you know, flatness, I guess. And so we released it and everything. And then one day, a school teacher wrote to us and said, I use that for my class, and all the kids relate to the flat. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And then another person wrote to us, and it was a psychiatrist that would show, basically, like she was doing the child psychology, and she showed the video too, and all the kids related to it too. And one day I got an email from a mom, and she said her child has a learning disability, and she had a really hard time in school, but she loved the video. And she took her shopping one day, and in the store, she was literally playing with the flats as though it was Flatty. And she came home, and she said that video just made her feel like she belonged to, like, in something, you know. And anyway, so that was it. But that video really, I had no idea that teachers and psychiatrists and, you know, psychologists and parents would actually show that video to their kids to have some connection to how they felt. Yeah. And that, to me, it's something that's so intangible, and that's, to me, something, that's why, like, I love what I do. Like, that's the moment where I hang on to as much as I can.
And that's the stuff that, like, 30 years from now, who knows what we'll be doing.
Yeah.
I hope I'm alive. But, like, that's the stuff you'll remember.
Yeah.
You know, you won't remember, like, how much money did I make in 2017, you know? But, like, I do think that this is the cool thing about the internet.
Yes.
You know, and if you're authentic and earnest, and if you believe in what you do, you can, like, change people's lives without knowing it.
Yeah.
And, like, what a cool, special gift to be able to do that, you know, to be able to help somebody who's struggling, to be able to inspire them to move to a new city, to quit their job, to, you know, to wear flats and be okay with that, whatever it is,
be flatty.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, like, we've been talking a bit about this recently, of just, like, going back to, like, why we're not doing this to make, you shouldn't be doing this to make money.
Yeah.
You should make a living off of the things that you do, absolutely.
Right,
but
right.
Like, that can't be the motivation. Like, that needs to be the motivation, right?
Yeah, you know, and I think as I think about this quite often, and I feel responsible in that sense too. Like, I really want this industry to be an industry that's available for the next generation, for our kids. You know, that one day they can be a content producer and content creator, whatever it is. And I think to make it a very stable industry, we have to plant, like, really solid roots, you know. And the income and the money, I mean, obviously you have to live, and I understand that, but is there more to it that we actually, like, re-energize the community and just really give more meaning to what we do? And I think having a brand has to have a soul, right? Mm-hmm. When I work with a brand today too, I'm always like, oh, you know, like, I love your products, but, like, what's, like, the soul of it? And some brands you see right through it, like, you know. And some brands you're like, oh, like, I don't know if there's, you know, really, you know. And the brands that have, like, soul and that have heart, like, you hang on to those brands because you really love them because of all the things that they're doing. And that's kind of, I think, that's where it is too for content creators. You know, where's the soul? You know, whatever that means for you. You know, but, you know, to this day when I wear the flats, people are like, oh, Flatty! Isn't that amazing? Like, oh my gosh, what a community! You know, like, you recognize Flatty. I love Flatty. Everybody loves Flatty, and because so we're all Flatties inside. You know,
right.
Like, we feel the isolation. We feel this, you know, with bullying and everything. To you can actually have a relationship with something, and that's the community that we're creating.
Wow. I'm proud to know you.
Oh my god!
Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
And if you guys don't follow Wendy, I honestly I don't know what to say. But seriously, thank you so much. You're one of the best in the game, and I think that I really appreciate you sharing this stuff.
Thank you so much.
You.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.